Hello and welcome to another special Unsourced Wall presents. Dwayne Johnson, or who I will just be calling The Rock for convenience sake, has been in a bit of a backlash tornado lately. At first stemming from his admission of being the one who stopped Black Adam from being the villain in the Shazam movie, which struck Captain Marvel fans as an all too characteristic ego-driven move, to only a day or two later reaffirming his long-held stance that Black Adam should/will be the foundation for the new DCU moving forward. Although, to be fair, the only ones really worked up about that last one are a subset of Snyder fans who were seemingly convinced that they can manipulate The Rock into using Black Adam as a backdoor to restore the Snyderverse. So, whatever. Even though The Rock has never been shy about stating his intentions to do otherwise. But, reflecting on it, I did wonder, if The Rock is successful, what exactly would that look like? A DCU where Black Adam is at the center, and the Black Adam movie is the foundational bedrock. So I put together a few ideas of what might be the best case scenario. Part 1, the JSA. Now The Rock has said he hopes Black Adam leads the spin-offs. The most obvious choice of all would be to spin off the actual superhero team and superheroes featured in the film. Now depending on the amount of background and setup the Black Adam movie leaves, on the table, I could easily see spin-offs of both Dr. Fate and Hawkman. With Dr. Fate, perhaps adapting the Legacy Torch past to Khalid Nassour from the New 52 would be a viable option for a solo film, as the JSA has always been big on legacy, and it would give a shot for Pierce Brosnan to leave his mark on the character while not being indebted to multiple action pictures, With Hawkman, however, the producers and The Rock seem to love the character, and even though they've gone on record as not digging into his reincarnation aspect in Black Adam, they've also referenced it a bunch of times in interviews, so a solo film really fleshing it out would work. And I believe the actor Aldous Hodge has said that he would be interested in also further exploring the Romeo and Juliet star-crossed lovers angle with Hawkgirl, who was supposed to be in Black Adam but was cut out of subsequent rewrites and drafts. I think that would be a lot of meat for a solo film to really sort of be worthwhile and substantial for the character. But these two would also be really useful in laying the groundwork for an actual team-up movie, which I believe leads us to Cyclone. I feel like them being the POV of that eventual JSA film, given how the Black Adam prequel comics basically use them as the Stargirl analog of the DCU, would fit rather neatly. So I think that's all a big kind of compact set of films right there already. And speaking of the prequel comics, they've been seeding a through line about some sort of ancient evil the JSA needs to prep for. As for whether this will be handled when the prequel comics finish or in the Black Adam movie itself has yet to be seen. But if not, then I can see that being the plot of that film. Something tertiary they can handle without having to re-cross over to DCU again, especially after Black Adam. Part 2, Suicide Squad. Now, according to unleaked but apparently confirmed casting news, Viola Davis will cameo in the film as her character Amanda Waller from Suicide Squad 1, 2, and the Peacemaker television series. Again, given the stated intent to use the film to springboard more stuff, planting a flag in the sand as to whether Viola Davis's Waller is still around sounds to me like they'd rather her still be in DCU than not. And given the acclaim and love that Suicide Squad 2 and Peacemaker received, I don't think that Suicide Squad 3 is out of the question if this movie does a lot of bank. Maybe cashing in on whatever fantastical elements pop up in Black Adam to make a bit more of a magical focus Suicide Squad 3. Part 3, Shazam. Now this is where things in this already hypothetical scenario get even more guessworky. As many have stated, The Rock doesn't seem that enthused by Shazam, only referencing the films and the character in interviews when absolutely necessary. But in terms of best case scenario, Shazam 3 is where the two would clash. Given that Black Adam's film would already set him up as an anti-hero, I don't think this would be a standard versus fight movie, nor would I imagine The Rock would allow that. Instead, this would most likely be a team-up movie, with Shazam and Black Adam initially coming into conflict before joining up together to battle a greater common threat. Cliche stuff. Let's say the greater threat is Mr. Mind and his Monster Society of Evil. Since Shazam set that up, but Shazam 2 is sidestepping that, it would make for a big grand threat that would appeal to The Rock. Part 4, Black Adam 2 and 3. Now, it would be foolish to think The Rock would even walk into this without wanting a full trilogy to himself. But what would that even be? Black Adam 1 is taking cues from the JSA story arc Black Rain, where he stages the coup of Kondak and becomes its ruler. And that makes sense for like a solo film because you really want to have that status quo set up. But the two big follow-ups to that storyline, both Black Adam's subplot in the 52 weekly series and its own spin-off World War III, would be good candidates for that direct sequel. His plot 52 being about basically the rise and fall of his makeshift Black Adam dynasty, and World War III being about, well, him waging war on the world because of his loss. If World War III was the basis for Black Adam 2, I figure it would be stripped down to just the barest bones political context of the world having to contend with this new Kondak nation that he's setting up. But best case scenario, here's what I'd do. Black Adam 2. It's the 52 subplot, ends with the tragic death of the Black Adam family, and sets the stage for Black Adam rampaging against the world. You know, very dark, downer kind of ending. And then we get JSA 2, World War III, a full-on Avengers level event crossover film, staged within a JSA sequel, pulling together the JSA, Shazam cast, and hey, even Waller and whatever Suicide Squad stuff she's got going on, perhaps, you know? Why not? And then Black Adam 3, which uses Black Adam the Dark Ages' basis. Sort of a small redemptive story, ending the trilogy on a bittersweet note with Black Adam's fate left up a bit in the air, but with a sense of closure. And I think that, you know, The Rock has always been about how complex and morally ambiguous Black Adam can be, and I feel like that would be a place to end it that would also appeal to him and his sensibilities, the character. Part 5, Beyond. Now obviously, if stuff like Hawkman and Dr. Fate did well, along with whoever else is introduced in the SA, there'd be sequels and spin-offs for them. But you might notice I didn't mention any of the iconic DC standards. And honestly, I don't know where do you fit them in and have this still be a cohesive storyline. Like sure, we'd most likely get a new Superman movie, a new Batman movie, Wonder Woman 3 maybe, Aquaman 3 likely, but it's also who knows. And yes, another attempt at Justice League. But in terms of making Black Adam the core wheel that moves the DCEU, they would feel tangential and I wouldn't know where to place them exactly. So I'm not even going to broach them. At the very most, they'd likely be in JSA, World War III, etc. In the end, I imagine that a fully coherent Black Adam Extended Universe saga would look something like this. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe The Rock wants to set up Black Adam 2 being about the Legion of Doom and Forever Evil setup or whatever, which would be cool. I'd enjoy that, but you know what? Fingers crossed that whatever happens ends up being for the best. Do I want like a Black Adam Extended Universe? Yes and no. I think that it would be a shame to like not utilize JSA and the characters being set up here, but like people have been saying, and WB itself has said, they do plan on rebooting DCEU, so it's not set in stone that any of this will be grandfathered in. They could just want to start from a clean slate, which is seeming more and more likely as, you know, Discovery and WB have been slashing and burning their content and property. So, fingers crossed. But let me know what you think below. If Black Adam becomes a mega hit and becomes the bedrock for a new DCEU, is this like what you would imagine that would be as well? Are there things that you would add in? And how would you integrate, if at all, the regular DC mainstays? And so, yeah, comment below, leave a like and subscribe, and hope you have a great day. See you again next time.